So to start with our 30-second opening statement, Mark Starritt.
Good evening, everyone, and thank you for this forum. My parents moved to Hollister right after World War II and started a family business where they serviced the local farmers and ranchers selling fuel, and they had a truck stop. My brother and I started our construction business in San Benito County. I married my college sweetheart. We moved back to Hollister about 25 years ago, and two of our kids graduated from San Benito High School. All three kids graduated from college, and guess what? None of them are working in San Benito County, and I'll discuss that later. Thank you.
Thank you very much. For your 30-second opening statement, candidate Mark Medina.
Hello, everyone. I'm Mark Medina. I was born and raised here in Hollister, California. Graduated from San Benito Joint Union High School. After that, I went to the United States Air Force. I was in the Air Force during Operation Desert Shield. I came back and I went to school at Gavilan Community College. Then I went on to earn a bachelor's degree at Sonoma State University. I worked for various companies in the finance sector, and I want the residents of San Benito County to hold me accountable for my actions. I want to listen to the residents and base my decisions on facts, figures, numbers, and not emotion.
Thank you. Now we'll have an opportunity for 2-minute answers to the questions. The first question will be for Mark Medina. What do you feel are the most critical issues for San Benito County and why?
Well, the most critical issues that I see are roads, bringing different businesses into this community, and education. The first one, dealing with roads. I think we all drive up and down Fairview or drive around San Benito County, and these roads have had it. Now, is it because there's a lack of money in the general fund? Is it because the county and the city are spending money outlandishly? It's not that. It's we need to really strategize on what we want in the future. Now, Measure P is on the ballot, and that will help pay for these roads. But one of the things that we need to worry about with Measure P also is the money is earmarked strictly for the roads, and that's what we're going to spend them on. So that will help out with the roads. Now, businesses. We all need businesses in this community. As Mark said earlier, none of his kids work here in San Benito County. Now, I was fortunate to come back after 15 years and work in San Benito County. So what I want to do is I want to be the ambassador for business development, meaning when individuals are interested in bringing their business to Hollister, I like to be notified so I can talk to these people and set them up with the right individuals to help them move to Hollister. Now, the individuals that own the businesses that want to bring them here, when they're talking to the government or city or county officials, these people aren't specialized in certain areas. So the whole idea is to bring these people over to the right people that are already running a business so they can converse properly. The other last issue is education. Education is extremely important. I was schooled at Sacred Heart, went on to San Benito Joint Union High School. Now, in this day and age, we need dollars to pay for this. And the biggest part of that would be dealing with the revenues that we need to bring in from businesses. Thank you.
Thank you, Mark. Next question for Mark Starritt. What do you feel are the most critical issues for San Benito County and why?
Critical issues facing San Benito County are not unusual to other communities. As an agricultural community, and we're becoming primarily a bedroom community for San Jose. I recognize a lot of you folks out there on the highway at 5 in the morning driving north or south, but headed out of town because it comes back down to where are the jobs. And a big issue facing San Benito County is housing will require 80% of the services and only generates 20% of the revenue. Businesses are just the opposite, all right? They're very little on services and generate the lion's share of the tax bases and stuff. And for too long, we have not taken the advantage of all the resources we have we can bring businesses into San Benito County. And I think that's got to be a priority. And a lot of times you hear politicians, the first thing out of their mouth is how we're going to bring businesses into generate business, do this and do that. And for the most part, as you can see, it hasn't happened. And primarily they are the reason why it doesn't happen, because businesses located for a certain reason, regulation. Well, we don't want to be like China and Mexico, where we have lack of regulations and ignore environment. But we have to have reasonable regulations. Taxation, well, the whole state of California is bad, so we're competitive there. And then we have the next thing that people like for if you have a business, and it's affordable housing for their people. And we're doing that. So we have a lot of reasons why we can get businesses to come to San Benito County. We just have to open the door, make it more friendly. The whole idea of impact fees, everybody likes that. It's an instant surge into the treasury short term. But if we can get businesses to come in here and year after year to be paying taxes, people earning income, every time a dollar is earned in San Benito County, it'll turn over into that county 7 times. And that's why it's important for the people in San Benito County to be working here and not elsewhere. Thank you.
Thank you. Our next question, I've been doing this for several years, and this is the first time I've gotten to ask a question on this topic. Do you think cannabis cultivation, manufacturing, and dispensary operations should be legalized? How would you address the potential social and health consequences?
I look at it, and my personal views on cannabis use is I'm not one that likes that idea, personally. But I look at it, in November, we're going to probably face it, it's going to be state law, where it'll be legal, and then the outcome of that is going to be who's going to grow it and how we're going to regulate it. And it's always strikes me as anytime there's a chance for somebody to make tax revenue, state, city, county, whatever it is, all of a sudden what was once illegal at one time all of a sudden becomes a great idea, because they're looking at the dollars amount that they can earn. It's going to be very important if this does become law that it is correctly regulated, because there is the possibility of illegal activities that go along with that type of industry. But here again, I say my personal views on it is I really don't care about it one way or the other. It really comes down to what gets dictated to us from the state of California if that gets passed. The social, I always remember something my dad would say, that it's like if something's illegal, there are people that won't do it just because it's illegal, and I think that's a good thought. It didn't work real well with prohibition, and anytime you try to stop something and make it illegal, it has its own life. But cannabis itself is I understand the benefits for medical marijuana. This is a whole different situation, and I think it's going to come down to, how can we best as a community deal with that issue in the future. Thank you.
Thank you. And the same question for you, Mark Medina. Do you think cannabis cultivation, manufacturing, and dispensary operations should be legalized? How would you address the potential social and health consequences?
Well, when you're thinking of cannabis or any type of drug in that aspect, we look at it, when it's for medical use, I fully agree with cultivating it, manufacturing it, and dispensing it. We do that now with over-the-counter drugs that are manufactured in different countries and different states. Now, the type of company that should be manufacturing the cannabis, it should be in an environment that is closed. It should be regulated. It should be no different than any business that you see in a street, just like in a warehouse where they're able to grow this cannabis for consumption, dealing with medical purposes. Now, when you're dealing with just legalizing it completely, to me right now, the studies are still out. I believe Colorado is legalized, but for me, I'd have to look at what's happening around the states that are completely legal. But when I'm looking, once again, when I'm looking at the medical part, I would definitely agree with that. Now, if something happened and it was legalized and we're dealing with the social and health issues, any type of illegal drug is extremely scary. When you look at alcohol, there's a lot of people that drink and drive, and we all know what happens when things like that occur. So overall, what I want to just talk about again was the medical part of the cannabis cultivation. Thank you.
Thank you. Our next question for Mark Starritt. What will you do as supervisor to attract and create competitive wages and business opportunities for our residents?
The biggest thing that you can do to bring businesses in is to have a business-friendly community. We have a great industrial park areas that are completely underutilized. I can remember not that many years ago, someone that was already a local businessman here wanted to move into the industrial park, and I spent a lot of time working with him on that. When the bottom line came down is all the impact fees and everything else that he was facing, he just kind of said, well, he gave up on it. Even though he owned the property free and clear, he decided it wasn't worth the amount of money it was going to cost him to build this laboratory. So I think when I started my business in construction, and always the bureaucracy and things like that were they were just a minor bothersome thing, to where it's become now. It's so overregulated and so dominated that it is choking off good, viable businesses that would come in, would be able to start. I think a lot of businesses just don't get off the ground because of the regulations and fees and everything else that goes along with it. So we have to be business friendly, and that comes right down to when someone walks into the planning department, there's got to be a big smile on their face, and how can we help you, and what can we do to make this work? So that is what I see a key is a business friendly environment. Do everything you can to bring a business in, because that business, you look at it and they're in here for 20, 30, 40, 50 years on up. They're going to generate revenue for our county year in and year out, and that's what we need. We need that type of business. We need to be proactive. If we can get involved more with the Chamber of Commerce to come out and do everything we can to solicit people that show any interest at all to come to San Benito County, we got to be there for them. Thank you.
Thank you. And question number 3 for Mark Medina. What will you do as supervisor to attract and create competitive wages and business opportunities for our residents?
Well, as I stated before, I want to consider myself as the ambassador for business development by reaching out to people, bringing them into San Benito County or the city of Hollister, and align them with the right people in order to talk about the good things San Benito County has to offer. The idea here is there was a new ag company that came in here, a processing plant, and that was over there off of Fairview by Dunville. The idea is to talk to them. What attracted them from Morgan Hill to here? They have a lot of employees. They want to bring more employees here. But the idea here is going out and finding out why, and then trying to recreate that template, because we're not dreaming about this. This actually happened. Someone came over here, and they have a viable business out on Fairview Road. The other part is what Mark said is there are a lot of regulations, a lot of rules that we have to follow. And sometimes we just can't get around it. But one of the things that I look at is being business friendly is thinking out of the box. It's being able to have a company come in here, set them up with the planning commission, whether it's with the city of Hollister or the county, and have them spoon-fed, walk through the system, making it a little bit easier if they employ X amount of people. The whole idea here is to make it easy for people to come in here, start a business, and if the business starts quicker, revenue will be generated much quicker also. So the idea here is, once again, be friendly with these people, entice them by exceptional customer service. And that's what we need to do. We need to make sure that we don't let any business leave here for a reason other than they just can't make it because their business plan wasn't solid. Thank you.
Thank you. Now we'll move on to a 30-second closing statement. Mark, you'll be first. I'm sorry, it says opening
30
statement, but
30
these...
seconds, or is it 2 minutes?
2 minutes. Okay, I'm sorry, we got the wrong, okay, so it's a 2-minute closing statement. I corrected the closing part, but I missed the time part. So again, a 2-minute closing statement from Mark Medina.
Thank you. Once again, you heard this all. Thank you very much for hosting us. I greatly appreciate it. You know, there's roughly 65 people in this room. And there's roughly 50, 60,000 people in the community. It hurts that we don't see more people involved or engaged in what we do in voting. It's important. It's important to look at us, Mark and I, sitting up here trying to represent this county. So one of the things that I want to tell everyone now is, if I'm elected, I expect everyone in the county to make sure that I follow through with what I say. My phone number will always be on. I will listen. I will take that information and figure out a way to find a solution to whatever issues we have. When I'm looking at housing and jobs, we definitely have to have a balance. We can't just create houses without filling them with people that aren't commuting to Silicon Valley. We also, we need to make sure that we work within our budget. We make sure that we do not rob Peter to pay Paul in the budget process itself. I have over 2 decades of finance experience, so that would be extremely helpful in looking at any of the revenues or expenses of the county. I will be a leader that will listen to the residents, and I'll follow through with the appropriate actions required. The biggest thing that I want everybody to understand is, when I reach a decision, it's based upon facts, figures, numbers, not emotion. We can't get emotional. We have to make sure as leaders that the vote we make is best for the county today and for the future. Thank you very much.
Thank you. For your 2-minute closing statement, Mark Starritt.
Thank you. My friend here, Mark, mentioned a business that has recently opened in San Benito County here off of Short Road. And I've actually talked to people involved with that business and stuff, and they had a pretty hard time with San Benito County. It was not a happy experience. And I think they're a tremendous asset to our community. And I know I don't want to belabor that too much, because there's still items that are going on, the promises made that weren't met or kept by the county and stuff like that. But it shows me that there has not been the friendly atmosphere that there should be for a good quality business coming in that has, pays good wages and stuff like that. So why should anybody vote for Mark Starritt? My entire adult life I've spent training for this position. I've been a supervisor my entire life, where I have run multi-complex projects, multi-million-dollar projects, from conception to completion, in charge of every facet of it, from budgeting, quality control, and interfacing with all the different bureaucracies that were involved, whether it's planning departments, building departments, Caltrans, you name it, I've dealt with them. Not always a happy situation, but I've always been able to deal with them. And so the bottom line of that is I've done that, and not only was I accountable today and tomorrow, but I'm accountable for my work for 10 years. And I think that makes you sit up and pay attention to what is going on. I mean, it comes into, when we go into, Measure P passes, and I fully believe it will pass, there's gonna be a lot of contracts, a lot of involvement. I've built roads, I've done a lot of different items that are involved with that type of construction, and I think I'd say virtually I'm an expert in that area. So what I'm saying, I can bring a lot to the table when it comes time to make sure that money is spent wisely, we get the bang for the buck that we need, and for once it won't be shovel-ready jobs that aren't ready. We will be ready to go.
Thank you, Mr.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Starritt. That concludes our questions for you, supervisor candidates for District 1.
Can we get some more questions?
If you will have an opportunity over at the vault, you can answer questions one-on-one, or we can gather groups together if anyone has any questions.
So